By 2026, the Pentagon we think we know, well, it might look completely different. We are watching one of the most aggressive strategic shifts in a generation play out right now. It's a massive pivot, and it's all built on two incredibly powerful ideas: achieving dominance through artificial intelligence and a sharp, renewed focus on pure warfighting capability, what insiders are calling high-end kinetic lethality.
And it all really kicked off with this one memo, sent out in early 2025. This wasn't just another directive from the top. No, this was a declaration of a new era. The message was unmistakable. The goal is to deter war by projecting such overwhelming strength that no adversary would even think about challenging it. It means rebuilding the entire force with one and only one purpose in mind: winning.
So how exactly is this revolution taking shape? Well, we're going to start with a really powerful symbolic change: the return of the Department of War. Then we'll follow the money, and it's a lot of it, to a $13.4 billion AI arsenal. After that, we'll uncover the digital kill web that's designed to connect everything. And then we have to grapple with the ghost in the machine, that crucial and complicated partnership between human and AI. And finally, we'll look at how they plan to prove any of this actually works. Okay, let's start with the name, because in this new strategy, words really matter. Rebranding to the Department of War isn't just a cosmetic change, it's a massive signal of a core change in philosophy. And just like that, an executive order made it official. The Department of Defense was now also the Department of War. The whole point was to deliberately shed missions they saw as distractions from the main purpose. So, no more nation building, less global policing, just a laser-like focus on preparing for and winning a major conflict. It's a transformation from a jack-of-all-trades into a master of one: war itself. Now, the official strategy document frames all this as peace through strength. But let's be clear, the documents are explicit about who this is aimed at. This entire shift isn't happening in a vacuum. It is a direct, calculated response to the massive military buildup and technological leap of its primary competitor, China. Okay, so you have this new warfighting mindset. What's fueling it? An absolutely incredible technological investment. The Pentagon is making a huge bet here that the future of war won't be won by a few hyper-expensive complex planes or ships, but by massive swarms of intelligent, autonomous systems. And the centerpiece of this whole effort is something called the Replicator initiative. The logic is pretty straightforward. If your adversary has more ships, more missiles, and more troops, you counter them with affordable mass. And that leads to this really critical new concept: attributable systems. Basically, these drones and robots are designed to be effective, but also cheap enough to lose. You can send waves and waves of them into a fight without risking, say, a multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier or a pilot's life. And the scale they're talking about is just wow. It's incredibly ambitious. The initial goal of this Replicator initiative was to get thousands of these autonomous systems out into the field and into the hands of warfighters by August of 2025. We're not talking about prototypes here. We're talking about fielding a swarm of intelligent systems across the air, the land, and the sea. And of course, they are putting some serious cash behind this. The 2026 budget request carves out a record $13.4 billion just for AI and autonomy. This is a huge signal. The money isn't just for lab experiments anymore. It's shifting away from R&D and directly into buying and deploying these systems on a massive scale. So where's all that money going? Well, the lion's share, a whopping $9.4 billion, is going into the air, funding swarms of autonomous drones. But you can see a huge chunk is also dedicated to autonomous ships, underwater systems, and, maybe most importantly, the complex software needed to tie it all together. The goal is to create a single autonomous force that can operate absolutely anywhere. Look, having thousands of drones is one thing, but their true power? That only gets unlocked when they're all connected. And that's the idea behind what they're calling the digital kill web. The technical name for this network is Joint All-Domain Command and Control, or JADC2. I want you to imagine a perfect, self-healing web of information where every single sensor, from a satellite in space to a soldier on the ground, is instantly connected to every single weapon. The goal is to see the entire battlefield in real time and act faster than any adversary possibly can. This is the digital nervous system for the entire strategy. And here's what that looks like in practice. This is the AI kill chain. You have systems like Project Maven that can instantly fuse data from hundreds of different sensors, identify a hostile target, and then suggest the best way to engage it to a human commander. And the result? The time it takes to go from spotting a threat to actually eliminating it is just
collapsing from hours or maybe even days all the way down to under a minute. This is a complete revolution in the speed of combat.
But that incredible speed, it creates its own set of really deep challenges. When life and death decisions are being made in seconds, what is the role of the human? This brings us to the complex ethical and moral heart of this entire new era. This is the central question that's kind of haunting this entire enterprise. As AI becomes more and more autonomous, more integrated into everything, how do you make sure that human commanders retain true control over those life and death decisions? How do you stop yourself from accidentally outsourcing moral responsibility to a machine? Now, official U.S. doctrine stresses something called human-machine teaming, always insisting a human stays in control. But intelligence analyses suggest a very dangerous divergence. Writings coming out of China's People's Liberation Army, the PLA, hint at a doctrine of machine-driven guidance, basically a willingness to remove the human entirely from the decision loop just to gain that critical speed advantage. In a crisis, that kind of asymmetry could be catastrophic.
And that's the risk. As this quote from International Affairs makes crystal clear, you simply cannot delegate value judgments to a machine. If you do, you create what's called an accountability gap, a situation where it becomes nearly impossible to assign legal or moral responsibility for an action. I mean, who's responsible when an autonomous system makes a tragic mistake? So to try and close that accountability gap, they're building a whole new suite of ethical safeguards right into the tech itself. This includes things like transparent logs that force a commander to justify why they accepted or rejected an AI suggestion. It means mandatory, foolproof overrides. There are even systems being designed to measure if a human is becoming too trusting of the AI to prevent a dangerous over-reliance. It's a very real attempt to hard-code ethics into the machine itself. So, with all this new technology, all these new ethical frameworks, how will the new Department of War even know if it's actually working? Success isn't just about having cool AI. It's about achieving a measurable, tangible edge. To avoid what some critics are calling AI theater, just having the tech for show, the strategy lays out some brutally specific metrics. They are literally timing the kill chain down to the second. They're counting how many times the Air Force finds a target for the Navy. They're actively trying to hack their own AI systems to test their resilience. And maybe most importantly, they're measuring whether the troops in the field are actually using these new tools effectively. And that brings us to the most critical takeaway in all of this. After all the billions spent on technology, the strategy itself concludes that the true deciding factor won't be the silicon, it'll be the people. The ultimate advantage is going to come from the operators who are trained and, crucially, trusted to use these powerful and potentially dangerous tools with skill, with wisdom, and with a clear moral compass on the future battlefield.